What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the March 16th call for Dr. Wallach. This is a recording. This is a replay of what happened that night. We were on for about an hour. We talked for briefly about COVID, and then we went into a whole bunch of other things, from why you shouldn't eat gluten-free oats to PCOS, Bell's palsy, osteoporosis of the skull, a ton of really, really cool info. So I forgot to hit record, which is why this video is going to look a little bit jumpy, but we're going to dive right in right after this intro. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, but you're interested in what we talked about, or there's something specific that caught your attention in the title, go ahead and look at the status bar down here, and there will actually be sections from the different topics that we discussed, so that you can find the topic that you want to listen to. So thank you for being here. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, and make sure you give us a follow on Instagram, where we post daily content from not only these calls, but all of the videos and everything that he's posted across the course of, pretty much YouTube history. So thanks for being here and enjoy.
Europe is kind of closing down to travelers out and travelers in because they're having, quote, a fourth wave of the pandemic COVID virus, unquote. And I'll give you 4 countries in Europe, and then we're spiking here in the United States also, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Let's see, Italy, with 60 million people, now have 3.2 million infections and 102,000 dead. The UK, which is England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, has 4.2 million infections, 125,000 dead. France has, let's see here. Here we go. 67 million people. They also have 3.8 million infections and 86,000 dead. And then you have Germany with 83 million people, 2.5 million infections and 78,000 dead. Now, this is getting near the numbers of people who died during the Second World War in these countries. We're talking about civilian deaths. We're not talking about the military deaths. And it's one of those things where it's spiking because most of these people were vaccinated in Europe long before we were. And unfortunately, vaccines don't kill the virus. Vaccines just alert your body to the bad DNA and RNA in the virus. And then I'll give you a couple of states here that are spiking in the United States, and then I'll tell you why all this is happening. I don't have Texas for today yet. They didn't register it, but they've been running about 5,000 new cases every day. Texas. California is at 1,100 new cases so far today. Florida is 4,800 infections. New York is 5,600 infections. Illinois is 2,000 infections. Pennsylvania is 3,000. New Jersey is 3,700. Michigan's 2,500. Virginia is 1,200. Ohio is 1,800. Georgia is 1,700. And all the rest of the states are like 700, 900, 300, 500 kind of thing. But these are the big spikes. And the reason is this. Vaccines only have a small part in defending you. And of course, Fauci failed us terribly a year and a half ago when we first had the COVID recognized. He said, this is a nothing virus. It'll be gone in a couple of weeks. Just wear a mask, distance yourself 6 weeks, and wash your hands, and everything will be fine. Well, what have we gotten for a year and a half following Anthony Fauci's rules there? Right now, we're at 30,157,000 infections and 550,000 dead. Doesn't sound like a nothing virus to me. Okay, now in the Arlington Cemetery, where our military dead are buried from the Civil War till now, there's only 400,000 graves. So we're way over, we're over 150,000 more than killed in all those wars, just in a year and a half following Fauci's directions, because he only gave us 3%. And here's the issue. Again, the vaccine, no matter which one it is, only alerts your body to a bad DNA and RNA. Then you've got to have a healthy immune system to respond when the bug appears. Okay, here's this bad DNA. Okay, white blood cells, antibodies, go get them. But several things have to happen for that to take place. Number one, you have to be able to absorb nutrients. And so that means the villi in your intestines have to be good. And Travis, you know that kids under the age of 3 and 4 years old, 5 years of age, they only have 3 to 5 days worth of common cold-like symptoms. Their temperature only goes up a half a degree from 98.6 to 99. I mean, you can't class that as a fever. And after 3 or 4 days, they have antibodies against the virus. They're good to go for the rest of their life. But if a 33-year-old, a 43-year-old, 53-year-old, 63-year-old, 73-year-old gets the virus, they've been eating gluten for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. The kids only were eating gluten for a year and a half or 2 years, and their villi are dead. The gluten produces a substance called pro-inflammatory cytokines, which kill the villi, the little things that give you surface area in your intestines. So when you're over 30 years of age, you've been eating gluten for 30 or more years, your villi are gone. You've lost 98% of your absorptive surface. Your intestines now, instead of looking like a shag rug, it looks like a plastic tube. Even if you're supplementing, you can't absorb any more than 2%. So your bone marrow is essentially dead. And people know their relatives or workmates or neighbors or church mates who go to the doctor once a month for an iron and B12 shot because they are anemic, and the doctor says, here, you better go to the pharmacy, get some iron pills. And after 6 months' time, it didn't work. He says, well, it's not working. We got to give you some shots. Well, it wasn't working. They couldn't absorb because their villi were dead. And then after giving the shots, all the other things you need to make white blood cells and red blood cells and platelets and antibodies are gone. And so even that doesn't work. So they put you on a transfusion once every month or so. So you're getting white blood cells and red blood cells and platelets from the donor. And then, of course, you don't have enough to make the antibodies either. So just because you've been vaccinated, you only got about 3% of what you need to make everything happen. This is a more complex problem. This all started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882 on Pearl Street in New York City, on the bluff overlooking the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge, when Thomas Edison and Jonathan Leibs pulled the switch on the first commercial electric generating plant. And within 10, 15 years or so, everybody had converted to electricity, and nobody was using wood ashes in their garden anymore as fertilizer. And nobody was using wood ashes in their bread and their chicken soup and all that kind of stuff. Every time grandma had a craving, she'd eat a couple of spoonfuls of wood ashes. And whether you were a king or a fisherman or a peasant farmer, everybody was getting minerals from the wood ashes. And when they went to electricity, that all went away. So that was the beginning of all these different things. We had the Spanish flu, which killed in one day in October, I think it was like October 15th, 1918, the Spanish flu. We lost 1,900, let's see, no, I take that back. We lost 195,000 dead in that one day. In 2 years, we lost 657,000 dead to the Spanish flu because all our immune systems were dead, okay, because we went to electricity instead of wood ashes. And then we had HIV. We had, let's see here, we also had the European flu. We had the Asian flu. We had H1N1. We had SARS and MERS. We had COVID-2 and COVID-19 appear. Okay, and these are all because we were now a community that was susceptible, okay, to all these infections. They've been there for thousands of years. Nobody got them because nobody's eating gluten. Okay, now when you look at the Asians, let's look at the Asians here real quickly. I'll take 5 more minutes if I may. Let's compare England with 67 million people and Thailand with 67 million people. England has 4.2 million infections, as we said, 125,000 dead. Thailand, with the same number of people, 67 million, have 83 dead and 25,000 infections. What's the difference? Well, Thailand lives on rice and sweet potatoes and corn and beans and squash and seaweed. And the UK is the gluten place. They were the ones that took it all over the world so their sailors would have bread. Let's compare Texas with Vietnam. Texas has 29 million people. Vietnam has 96 million, 3 times what Texas has. Vietnam has 35 dead from the COVID and 2,400 infections. Texas has 2.7 million infections and 46,000 dead. Well, what's the difference between Texas and Vietnam? Well, Vietnam is an Asian country. They live on nothing but rice and sweet potatoes and beans and squash and seaweed and corn. And depending on what county you're looking at, 30, 40, 50, 60% of the counties are either Black or they're Latinos or they're indigenous peoples, Indian tribes. And they live on nothing but wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Okay. Whereas Vietnam lives on a diet that the Asians live on. Okay. And this is, one more, I guess, is appropriate here for us here in the Southwest. Mexico versus Japan. They both have like 127 million people. Japan has 8,500 dead. Mexico has 193,000 dead. Japan has 446,000 infections. Mexico has 2.2 million infections. What's the difference? Japan lives on the classic Asian diet: rice, sweet potatoes, maize, beans, squash, and seaweed. And Mexico is a consummate Latinos, live on nothing but, and they even drink. Everything they drink is made out of wheat. Even their beer is named Corona, after the coronavirus. So that's the problem. So you need to get off all the bad foods: no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, barley, rye, and oats. There are no such things as gluten-free oats. People calling gluten-free oats actually have their gluten is called gliadin. It's called gliadin. Okay, so they say, well, there's no gluten in there. Well, it's named gliadin, but it's the same thing. Okay, and so you got to give up all the gluten and then take the 90 essentials. You use the big hammer or Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, and 1 per 100 pounds of body weight. Use our vitamin D3. Even Fauci says that vitamin D3 is good for you. That's because it helps rebuild your bones in your bone marrow cavity. And then you want the glucogel, so you can, again, rebuild cartilage and ligaments and tendons and bones. And then I want you also to do what I do. For 25 years, I've been taking 2 droppers full of our colloidal silver under my tongue, 30 minutes for each meal and 30 minutes for bedtime. It has 5 parts per million colloidal silver. Use our hand sanitizer when you leave the house, when you come back. And I'm 82 years old and I don't have any problems with this. I don't have any pre-existing conditions. And most people think I'm considerably younger than 82. You know, when you look at me, I don't look like a 82-year-old guy, okay? And my activity level is that of a 30-year-old. So there you go. And of course, this is easy. If everybody were to do this, Travis, we could end this pandemic in like 30 days, okay? But everybody's gonna have to do the same thing. And just taking the vaccination is not enough. People are already calling me. Well, I took my mom in 3 months ago. She had her first vaccination, and 30 days later, she had the next one. And then 2 months later, she dies of COVID. How did that happen? Well, what did she eat for breakfast? How old was she? Well, she's 80 years old. Did she eat oatmeal for breakfast? Well, she loved oatmeal for breakfast. And she had me take her out for flour tortillas every lunch hour during the week. Well, there you go. That's her villi and her intestines are dead. And that's why she couldn't absorb the nutrients. And that's why she died.
Wow. I mean, wouldn't it just be incredible if we could slow this down or stop this, like they said it was supposed to, in 2 weeks? It's just, they're teaching us the wrong things. They're teaching the public the wrong things.
That's correct.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that. We do have a handful of people in here. I do want to open it up to questions. Dr. Wallach is absolutely incredible at taking, whatever you may be worried about, thinking about. So unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and then if you have any questions, let us know. Yeah, the floor is everyone else's now. Let's see who's here.
Okay, if they're not going to do that, I can give you some more stuff here.
I have a question if no one else does.
Okay. What's your name, sir?
I'm Dylan Suggs. Been in Youngevity for 7 years. My question is, we have a roommate that has really bad allergies. Has had bad allergies his whole life. It's like a chronic allergy illness, whatever you want to call it. And my question to you would be, what would be a good remedy through Youngevity, and then, like you mentioned, of course, diet recommendations for somebody who's been suffering with allergies for
okay, well, that's a big term. Okay, I eat plants. What does that mean? Okay, so when you say he has allergies, does he have asthma? Does he have skin issues? Does he have
He
bowel
just has,
problems?
he's consistently stuffy. His nose is consistently stuffy. I don't think he has any real health impairments. He's got good energy. He's young. He runs around, but he's just
Okay.
constantly stuffed up.
Okay. How much does he weigh?
He's about 150 pounds.
Okay. All right. Well, basically, you got to get rid of all the bad stuff. Okay. So he's got to live like an Asian, live on rice and sweet potatoes and corn and beans and squash and vegetables and salads and that kind of stuff. Okay. No fried foods, no processed meats, even nitrate-free bacon. You know, nitrogen-free bacon has more like 10 other chemicals in there, so that's not good. So absolutely no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils of any kind, no gluten, no wheat, no brown rice, oats, absolutely no sugar. And then at 150 pounds, I'd have him take 2 of the Healthy Brain and Heart packs per month, 2 of the Healthy Brain and Heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. I'd have him take the MSM, 3 of those twice a day, that's 1 bottle a month, or vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day, that's 2 bottles a month. And then I would have him take our Fucoid Z capsules, take 3 of those twice a day, that's 2 bottles a month. That has, I think, 8 or 9 different forms of algae and seaweed from the ocean, all the weird trace minerals that are anti-inflammatory. Okay, it's a legendary product. If they prefers liquids, we have a liquid form of it. It's called Z Radical. You can take 2 quarts of that a month, take an ounce twice a day, the Z Radical, or 3 capsules twice a day. I take 3 capsules twice a day of the Fucoid Z. And when I fly, I take the capsules with me because I can't take the liquids because they're too heavy. Then I would also have them take, we have our vitamin C lozenges. We have our zinc lozenges. You could take 1 of those at breakfast, each of the zinc and the vitamin C lozenges, and take 1 at dinner and 1 of each again at dinner time. So it'll be 2 bottles of each of the zinc lozenges and the vitamin C. And let's see what happens when he gets rid of the gluten and takes all the 90 and takes the extra zinc and the extra vitamin C. Okay. And let's go there. I mean, I have a whole list of anti-inflammatories, this and the other, but I don't want somebody to just, it's kind of like you have something going on in your brain, you take aspirin, and then 2 years later you die of something because you had an aneurysm, which we could have fixed, but you're just relieving pain. Okay, so
Right.
I'm going towards fixing the problems. I'm covering a lot of problems by this. So if he has any lab work, call me again next time we're on with his lab work. If they did a X-ray of his head and his face and sinuses, or an ultrasound or something, I need to know that. But that's kind of where I would go. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Wallach.
You bet, sir. Thank you. Dylan.
So Doc, would you mind kind of following up on that and what those products mean in terms of protocol? Like, what's the goal with allergies in general? Is it to reduce inflammation? Is it to, improve stomach acid? What's kind of the response that you're looking to get with that?
Okay. Well, what you're doing is you're giving all the cells in your body what they need to perform. Okay. To relieve inflammation, to relieve injury, to make new ones, because they all die. They all have a life, and when they die, you need to make new ones. So you need the raw materials for your stem cells to make new ones. And you can't get these nutrients out of your food anymore. Okay, we don't have wood ashes, so our mineral content is way down. Go look at any commercial fertilizer that farmers use. They only have 3 nutrients in the fertilizer, NPK, because farmers get paid by tons and bushels. Farmers don't get paid by the nutritional value of the food. Okay, so what do they do for their own animals? Well, they give them alfalfa pellets with vitamins and minerals in it. That's why they don't have to have health insurance for their animals. Otherwise their veterinarians would be out there every day running up the bill. Well, that doesn't happen because they give all their animals. And I recognized this when I was 9 years old. And so I started doing personally. I've been gluten-free for 73 years and on the 90 essential nutrients for 73 years. Okay, and that's why I don't have any pre-existing conditions. Now we do have a couple of CDs. One is the red warning light, okay, which goes into about 8 of these pre-existing conditions, tells you what to do about them. We also have the book and the CD, Hell's Kitchen, tells you how to recognize these pre-existing conditions. Things like obesity. It's kind of interesting that obesity is one of the biggest pre-existing condition is found in people who die from COVID, obesity. Why is that? Well, obesity is a nutritional deficiency problem, not a calorie problem, but a nutritional deficiency. And when you get these particular nutritional deficiencies that cause obesity, you get a behavior called pica, just an insatiable appetite. Frank, you just had a 5,000 calorie dinner here. What are you doing? You're eating 6 desserts. I don't know. I'm just still hungry. Well, that's because they're missing those nutrients. That's why they gain weight. Well, if they're missing those nutrients, that means they're missing other nutrients as well. And so that's why the biggest cofactor or pre-existing condition, okay, that people die from COVID from is obesity. It's the number one pre-existing condition. And so if you're obese and you get the COVID, you're in real trouble because you have all these deficiencies, which means your bone marrow is dead, can't make antibodies, can't make white blood cells. And so you have to go through this process of eliminating all that stuff, taking the 90, and get your vaccinations. They can be useful, but if you don't do all this other stuff, you'll get shocked because unless you're eating like an Asian, you can still die of the COVID, even though you've been vaccinated twice or 3 or 4 times. Okay, it doesn't matter.
That's super, super helpful. So Devin's actually going to unmute now. He's been doing the whole Instagram thing. So we have some questions coming in off of online that he's going to.
Okay.
Hey, Doc.
Yes, sir.
A couple of questions. This is Devin here, live on Mineral Mentor right now. I've got somebody asking, what is the best thing to eat in the morning? Is it fruit? Like, what do you normally have in the morning? What do you suggest as a breakfast?
Okay, here's what I've been having for breakfast for over 30 years. I have 2 slices of smoked red sockeye wild salmon from Alaska. 2 slices. They're about 1/8 of an inch thick and about as big as the palm of your hand. Then I have 3 soft-boiled eggs with soft yolks. I have 3 large ice cream scoops full of wild rice, not fried rice, but wild rice. You can have white rice, red rice, yellow rice, but no fried rice. I have wild rice. I also, 3 days a week, I will have, for breakfast, 2 days a week, I will have pizza with that. Instead of the rice, I'll have pizza, but it's made from cauliflower. It's a gluten-free pizza with 4 different cheeses and 5 different vegetables on it. I'll put either tuna or salmon or some other fish on my pizza. On the 2 days I have pizza for breakfast instead of the salmon by itself. And so, and on the weekends, I'm not opposed to having a steak and eggs for breakfast, but the eggs are always poached. Most of the days I'll have 3 eggs twice a day because 75% of your brain weight is cholesterol. 95% of the weight of testosterone is cholesterol. And at 82 years old, I don't have any ED or any of those kind of problems because I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients for 73 years, gluten-free for 73 years. So every function from blood pressure is normal, blood sugar is normal. My strength is, I walk 2 miles a day and do 20 push-ups every day. And I'm 82 years old. And I do have 1 tooth missing. I was in a fight a couple of years ago. 3 guys in a mall tried to steal my package, and we had a fist fight. And of course, one of them punched me in the face, and I just focused on him and knocked all of his teeth out. He only knocked one of mine out. The others ran away.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc.
Okay.
One other question I have here is, what's the best thing for PCOS or ovary cysts? Ovary cysts.
Okay, polycystic ovarians. Yeah. Okay. Well, they need to get rid of all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats. Okay, no oils of any kind, no gluten, no wheat, bran, oats, no sugar. And then I'd have them take 1 healthy brand heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. Then I'd have them take the MSM, 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. I'd also have them take the Woman's FX. They can take 3 of those twice a day. Woman's FX. Also take 3 of the Xerafem, XERA-FEMME, Xerafem. Okay. They are the raw materials for the ovaries to make estrogen and also progesterone. Okay. Don't forget, she needs to eat 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks, because remember, even estrogen is 95% by weight cholesterol. You can't be on a cholesterol restricted diet and taking statin drugs and and make good estrogen or make good testosterone. Give your statin drugs to your doctor with love. It's kind of like that old Russian movie, To Russia with Love. Okay, to doctors with love, give them your statin drugs and say, please, please take it.
That's great.
Thank you, Wallach. And last question I have here is revolving around rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay, well, that's an easy one. Doctors want you to believe that rheumatoid arthritis is a autoimmune disease, kind of in the same family as lupus and all that kind of stuff. They say, look, we can give you some relief with prednisone and cortisone, that kind of stuff, but you know, we can never get rid of it. Well, that's all not true. It's actually just a common degenerative arthritis, a simple nutritional deficiency with a secondary infection with a bug called mycoplasma, which is killable with a antibiotic called minocycline. Okay, and this mycoplasma gives out this DNA and RNA, which they call the RA factor, rheumatoid arthritis factor. So when people have rheumatoid arthritis, they got to get rid of all their bad foods so they can absorb stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat bran, no sugar. I'd have them take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, full dose of everything twice a day. I would also have them take the MSM, 3 of those twice a day, 1 bottle a month. Vitamin D3, 3 twice a day, or glucogel, 5 capsules twice a day, or 1 ounce of the liquid twice a day. And then they need a prescription for this minocycline. It's pronounced like the bait fish minocycline. They need a 6 to 8 week protocol with that minocycline. I think it's like 2 doses a day for 6 to 8 weeks, and will kill that mycoplasma. And the supplement program will rebuild the tissues in the cartilage and ligaments and tendons and connective tissue and disc between the vertebrae and so forth. And so in 6 to 8 weeks, I don't care if you've had rheumatoid arthritis for 40 years, it'll be gone.
Wonderful. Thank you, Doc. And lastly, how to wean off of high blood pressure meds and how to take care of high blood pressure.
Okay, well, first of all, don't cold turkey off the high blood pressure medications. Get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat, bran, no. Okay, no sugar. Then again, 1 healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. 3 of the MSM twice a day. It's 1 bottle a month. 3 of the vitamin D3 twice a day. The collagen, the glucogel, 5 twice a day, because you have to build the connective tissue in the walls of the arteries and the veins and so forth. And then you want to take 3 of the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. That'll be 2 bottles a month. If they weigh, say, 150, 160, 200 pounds, I'd have them take 3 times a day of the Ultimate Daily Classic. Okay. Ultimate Daily Classic. And that will support healthy blood pressure and healthy blood flow through even blocked arteries. I've taken people who had that problem, very high blood pressure. They hadn't urinated in 10 years. They're on dialysis 6 days a week. I put them on that program, and in 2 weeks' time, they're urinating. So they dropped their dialysis down to 3 days a week. And then in 2 more weeks, they're totally off of dialysis, which they've been on for 25 years because they didn't want a kidney transplant. So this works. I do this literally thousands of times all over the world. If you do it and you absorb it because you're getting rid of the bad foods, especially the gluten, guess what? You won't. And then you want to reduce your medication for high blood pressure slowly based on the numbers. Don't just cold turkey off of it when you start our program.
That is awesome. Thank you, Doc, for clarifying all of that. So I have a couple of questions that I've been sent. One is about, I'm probably going to mispronounce this. It's presbyceus hearing loss. I may be saying that wrong. Do you know anything about that? I got a message online about this, and she said everything she's found has said to be non-reversible.
Okay.
Hearing aid since 2014.
Did she say how old she was and how much she weighs?
She's about 30, and she weighs probably about 130 pounds.
Okay. So one of the most common causes of loss of hearing is a squeezing of the auditory branch of the 8th cranial nerve. There's 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Okay. It's all in your head. She needs to get the book. It's all in your head. She'll understand what's going on.
Okay.
When you get osteoporosis of the skull gets thicker. The normal thickness of a skull in a human is 1/4 of an inch. When you get osteoporosis of the skull gets an inch thick. It used to be called Paget's disease. Now they call it Wallach's disease because Paget thought it was a genetic thing because generations of families would have it. It's just a simple nutritional deficiency like all osteoporosis. But what happens is those tunnels that all the 12 pairs of cranial nerves and the spinal cord going out of the back of the skull go through, when you have it, gets 50% of the size. Okay, so it starts squeezing all these nerves. You can get a loss of the sense of smell. Doctors want to blame COVID on it. Oh yeah, I had COVID for 6 months and I don't have it anymore, but I still have lost my sense of smell. How old are you? I'm 70 years old. Well, did you give up gluten and take the 90? I don't even know what you're talking about. No. Well, that's why you still have lost your sense of smell. That's the olfactory nerve. It's the cranial nerve number one. Then people go blind, okay, because they're getting a squeezing of the optic nerve. You get ONA. I have some great stories about that. We don't have time to go into them, but I have great stories about that, where I reversed literally thousands of people who were blind with ONA. They were told they have blindness, and for 6, 8, 10, 12 years, and then 90 days, they can read 20/20 in 90 days without glasses. Okay, I won some great bets with eye doctors and eye surgeons for that. And then Bell's palsy, where your one side of your face droops. That's the squeezing of the 7th cranial nerve. Okay, trigeminal neuralgia, pain in your face. That's a squeezing of the 5th cranial nerve. And then people get numbness and tingling in their hands and trigger finger, and they get what's called carpal tunnel syndrome and numbness and aching in their arms and tingling in their shoulders and all that kind of stuff. And it's really just a squeezing of the spinal cord is coming out of the back of the skull. Even doctors don't remember their anatomy. They think your spinal cord is a spinal thing. No, it's made in the brain, comes out of the big hole in the back of your skull called the foramen magnum, which is Latin for big hole. Okay. And as it gets to 50% of the size, it squeezes the spinal cord as it comes out of the back of the skull. And you get all this stuff in your arms, and your wrists, and your fingers, and so forth. And they want to do surgery on you. And all you have to do is get off all the bad foods and take the 90 and the MSM and the vitamin D3 and the gluten, and all that'll go away within weeks. Same thing with peripheral neuropathies in your feet and sciatica. They want to do back surgery and take all your disc out, put plates in there. Well, that's how they send their kids to college. Okay, they're dealing with symptoms. They're not dealing with the root cause of the problem. So
Wow.
I hope that helps.
That was incredible. Thank you for sharing that. So right now I have 2 more questions. I know we still have some time, so I'm going to go ahead and let anyone else jump in. So we got a question in the chat. How do you deal with glyphosate that's accumulated in the stomach or intestines?
Okay, what's accumulating?
Glyphosate is what the message says. If you want to unmute the person that asked this.
Yeah, unmute that.
Clarify. Let's see, I'm going to ask to unmute them.
Hello.
There it is.
Yeah, you have to cut off all the music in the background.
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
talking about glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup, the herbicide.
Okay. Now, is this just a general question, or do you have a person with an issue?
I'm talking about just general question, how it's impairing digestion.
Okay. So what you want to do, of course, is get rid of all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, brown rhinos, no sugar. And then they need 1 healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. They need to take the 1 bottle a month of the MSM per 100 pounds. You have to cut off that music back there. Thank you. Okay. And then, so 3 of the MSM twice a day, that's 1 bottle a month. They need the vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. And then I want them to take the Fucoid Z, which has those 8 or 9 different seaweeds and algae and kind of stuff in there. It's a great detoxifant, as well as an anti-inflammatory, and supports the immune system. I take 3 of those twice a day just because. Okay. And then, of course, we also have what we call our herbal rainforest, which has 13 cleansing herbs and the liquid plant minerals, 75 minerals in it. It's a beautiful bottle. And I take a teaspoon of that twice a day in my liquid supplements. Okay, the herbal rainforest, and that detoxifies everything. 13 cleansing herbs and 75 minerals. Drink the Rebound with 100 nutrients in it, sports drink, as opposed to Coca-Colas and Pepsi-Colas and 7-Ups and all that kind of stuff. Don't just drink big glasses of orange juice and apple juice and so forth, because they don't have a whole lot of nutrition in them. They have a lot of sugar in them, but they do have a lot of things like glyphosates, and they do have things like pesticides and things like that, so the bugs wouldn't eat the fruit.
That's super, super helpful. Thank you, Dr.
Mhm.
Wallach. So
You bet.
we had a circling back kind of question. Is minocycline similar to methotrexate? Is that the same thing, or is it a different?
No, it's a different antibiotic.
Different antibiotic. Okay, awesome. My next question is, how do you detox from any of the toxins that are inside of vaccines, just kind of generally speaking?
Well, again, I would go with if you're going to detox a vaccine, I would take, you got to take all your nutrients to stay away from the bad foods, but I would also use the herbal rainforest, the 13 detoxifying herbs and the 75 minerals in it. It's a great product. It tastes good. I mean, little kids like it because it tastes so good. You got to be careful. You drink too much or you have diarrhea. So that's why I only take a teaspoon at breakfast, a teaspoon at dinner time. And I just have a nice regular bowel movement and all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing all this for many, 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 many years.
Very, very awesome. That's super helpful. I actually had not heard of that product before, so that's very awesome.
Yeah, try it. You'll be amazed, and it helps a lot of people. Okay, see people who are alcoholics who want to get off of alcohol and stuff like that. That's a perfect product for them to add on to the the basic program.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on juicing, like juicing, making green juices, or like celery juice in particular?
Well, if you want to do that, that's fine, but you don't know whether there's glyphosates in that celery and all this kind of stuff, right? So you don't know what you're getting. And you're using a lot of electricity, okay, doing all that kind of stuff, or you're doing it by hand one way or another. And so I'm not big on juicing. I eat fruit. I eat a banana or an orange with breakfast. I do for dinner time, I'll have like a third of a pint of ice cream, gluten-free ice cream. I particularly like pistachio and vanilla chocolate cherry. I like green tea ice cream. And then, of course, I think I eat grapes, and I do have a glass of red wine every night with dinner time. My wife won't let me have 2 glasses. I only get 1. So I'm not big on juicing. We have, that's why we have the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. It has 115 fruits and berries and fruit juices in it. It has 115 in there. So our Healthy Start Pack, which is our basic core program, has about 100 nutrients in it. Okay, but our BTT 2.0, the big hammer, has 215 in it because we have 115 fruit and vegetable juices in it. We've already done it for you.
That's really very, very helpful. We had another question pop up in the chat. I want to give him a second to see if he can unmute and ask. I wanted to make sure we were asking the question the way he intended. So
okay, sure.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Dr. Walk. My name is Carlos.
Okay.
And I was wondering, well, I wanted to ask you the question, how Travis stated, I lost weight by juicing celery and getting my sugars off oranges. I was wondering, what else can I do to stay the same or switch it up?
Okay, so with a name like Carlos and that accent, you're a Latino?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So basically, you want to avoid all the bad stuff. No fritos papas, no fritos pollo, no fritos, no fritos. Okay.
Yeah, no oils, none of that stuff. Yes.
Then you need to get rid of gluten. No pan. If you're going to have cerveza, it's got to be made from rice. Here in America, we have rice beer that's from Australia, New Zealand. We have rice beer. There's a couple of big breweries that make rice beer. And then, of course, wine doesn't have any gluten in it. But almost all other beers are German beer, is made, and Budweiser and all those things are made from wheat. So no more flour tortillas. You can have corn tortillas, but not flour tortillas. You need to have chicken noodle soup, not chicken. You can have chicken rice soup, but not chicken noodle soup. That kind of stuff. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then And then what do you weigh? How old are you, sir?
I am 22 pounds. I'm 22 years old, and I weigh 215 pounds.
Yeah. So what you want to do, 215 pounds, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything at breakfast and dinner. 1 bottle. Do you have any health issues? Any other than you had a weight issue? Did you have any?
No, sir. I used to have my I think what is this? The tonsils were going out for smoking.
Smoking. Okay.
Smoking,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So here you go. 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose at breakfast and dinner. You want the MSM, take 1 bottle of that a month. So you can take 3 tablets twice a day. Vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. It's 2 bottles a month. And then what kind of work do you do?
I'm a musician, sir.
Oh, good. What instruments you play?
I play the sousaphone, the tuba.
Oh, great. Let's see here. Do you do you have any high blood pressure, diabetes, anything like that?
No, sir. When my tonsils were going out, I was experiencing a lot of like neurological problems. Like I would just feel weak and stuff like that. But I did the juicing. I don't know if you heard of Robert Morris, Dr. Robert Morris. Well, I followed his guidelines, and well, I got better. I got CBD for the tonsils.
Good. Okay. So, at any rate, then I would also have you take our Fucoid Z. Take 3 of those. That's the algae and the seaweed. Get to 2 bottles a month. So you can take 3 twice a day. I only weigh 142, and I take 3 twice a day. And then I want you to also use our colloidal silver. Put 2 droppers full under your tongue 30 minutes for each meal, 2 droppers full under your tongue 30 minutes before bedtime. Don't forget our hand sanitizer. We have these little 2-ounce bottles to carry with you and the big pint bottles for home. And you'll do fine. But you have to do more than juicing because you don't know where those plants came from. Nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like gold and silver. And so you can be eating the same recipe your grandmother ate, and she lived to be 114, and eat the same recipe and die at 40. Well, why did I die at 40? I ate exactly what grandma did for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Where did she live? Well, she lived in
the environment.
Yeah, it's the environment. So she lived in Washington State. Where do you live? Well, I live in Indiana. Well, you're not getting the same nutrients she's getting because she's putting her wood ashes in the garden way back when. And you're not doing that now. You're using electricity. So you're not getting minerals. So unless you're supplementing with them, and the big shocker is if you go to a farm store or go online and ask what are the most frequent minerals put into fertilizer for large wheat and oat farms and corn farms, they only have 3: NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So where are you going to get the other 87?
No.
Okay, you had to you got to supplement. Whereas when you're putting wood ashes in there, if you lucked out and the tree grew in a place that had 25 minerals, the wood ash would have 25 minerals. If you lucked out and the tree grew in some place that had 40 minerals in it, the wood ash would have 40 minerals in it. That's why some people in some areas of the world live a long time, and other people in other parts of the world don't live very long. It's depending on what nutrients in their food, unless they're supplementing. That supplementing equalizes it. Everybody's the same when you supplement.
Nice.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it very much.
Vaya con Dios, amigo.
Thank you very much. You too, sir.
Thank you. Gracias.
Wow, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you Carlos for the great question, and Dr. Wallach for
was good question.
The really good question. I know that's very popular right now with the celery juice and everything. As of right now, we actually don't have any questions that have been messaged to us. So I want to open it up for the last 15 minutes or so to anyone on the call. We actually had a handful of people kind of just trickle in the last few minutes here. So if anyone has any questions, if you want to unmute, it looks like Brooke just unmuted. So
yeah, I have a question. This is actually from my friend Dave, who's 87 years old, a super healthy guy and a big believer in minerals in general. But he wants to know what is the bioavailability of the minerals from the plant sources, like all the way through to the body. How are we in good bioavailability with this product?
Okay, well, that's a very good question. Well, our liquid plant minerals, okay, I'm getting there's a lot of talking or something in the background there. Okay. So our plant minerals are almost 100% absorbable. They're in suspension, fine particle size. And so our plant minerals, you're supposed to put them in a liquid. And of course, I like our Icelandic water, which comes from Iceland, which has all these wonderful trace minerals in there. And so you get the extra minerals along with the 75 minerals that are in the minerals. And of course, if you want to drink during the day, instead of the colas and Red Bull and all that kind of stuff, we have Rebound, which is our sports drink, which we made for professional athletes and Olympic athletes by the hundreds use this. University athletes, of course, use them. High school athletes use them. I drink 2 of these a day. I don't drink them after 3 o'clock because it'll keep you up all night because there's so much energy in there. There's 75 minerals. There's a total of 100 nutrients. Red Bull has 3. Gatorade has 3 or 4, whatever it is, nutrients. Ours has 100 nutrients. So those are kind of the directions I would go. These are extremely absorbable. So you can tell your friend, Dave, did you say? This is very, very absorbable. Next question.
That's awesome. I've heard you mention about calcium carbonate being kind of unabsorbable. So in comparison to that, you know, I know you say it's 10% absorbable or so for those. Could you put a percentage on?
I wouldn't. I can look that up and I'll have it for you next time, rather than guess around. But it's just less. Okay. you don't want less. You want more.
Right. Very good. All right. Would anyone else like to unmute, ask a question? I'll give you guys a couple seconds.
I've got a question. It's always a pleasure listening to you, Dr. Wallach.
Thank you, sir.
I'll try and keep it brief. So recently, a friend of my mother and my stepdad died while riding his bike, and
okay, he just fell over dead.
Yeah, fell over dead, collapsed, and died.
Okay.
And he was a very active man.
So what was his cause of death?
I'm not sure, but from what I hear, it really seems like cardiomyopathy. So
okay, well, let's stop there. If that's the question, I know how to deal with that. First of all, we put 3 times the minimum daily requirement for that nutrient in here for the professional athletes, so they wouldn't die of the heart attack. Okay, and Dr. Milan and I went to Heilongjiang, China, Qishan University. We did 1,700 autopsies on kids under the age of 10 that died of that hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart attack. Okay, published in 3 languages.
Right.
And so this heart attack, right now, the statistics for this year in America alone, 500,000 kids, okay, under the age of 18 have died of that heart attack in the United States from that deficiency, that nutrient.
That's insane.
Okay. It is insane. Doctors say, oh, don't take any vitamins, don't just eat well, you get everything you need. Well, that's impossible because, again, minerals occur in veins like gold and silver. So the odds of getting that nutrient everywhere is slim to none.
Right. And, and the doctors were telling him that his heart problems were genetic as well.
Okay. So that doctor should have his license taken away from him. There are no genetic diseases. I'm considered one of the 2 founding fathers of the science of epigenetics, along with Bruce Lipton, because I showed in my thesis 20,000 autopsies. It was a $25 million grant from NIH. And in the 20,000 autopsies, I was able to show there were no genetically transmitted diseases. There were no genetically transmitted birth defects. And my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure. Now, that happens extremely rarely. I don't think that's happened a dozen times. They put somebody's research thesis into the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure. Now, I'm not telling you that to brag. That's just a status, not a status thing. It's a credibility thing. That's what I'm looking for.
Definitely.
Now, here's what I want you to do. When you get off here, I want you to go to Siri or Amazon and ask Siri or Amazon, is Dr. Wallach's book, that's the publisher that publishes all the medical textbooks, W.V. Saunders, took my thesis and edited it down from 5,000 pages to 1,200 pages, put a cover on it, and sold it as a textbook.
Okay.
They published 30,000 copies, okay, and they sold it in 90 days at $25,000 each.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, now they had to republish it, and they sold the next 60,000 to $25,000 each in 90 days. So I
Yeah.
want you to go, I'll give you the title of the book. They just looked at the animal part of it, right? Which was
Yeah.
17,000 autopsies. They did 3,000 humans,
Mhm.
but they put a cover on it, and they hardcover, and they called it Diseases of Exotic Animals, because I was doing autopsies of animals that died in the big zoos, looking for a canary in the mine that would give us early warning against pollution in the big cities. And also people who lived around the big zoos, 3,000 of them. That's in the book. Okay. And so it's called Disease of Exotic Animals. You go to Siri and ask if any of Dr. Wallach's books, Disease of Exotic Animals, are available for sale. They'll pop up, and they're beat up, and the dogs peed on them, and the cover is ripped off, and all that kind of stuff. They sell for $4,500.
Wow.
If they're in fair condition, they'll sell for $6,000, $8,000, $10,000. If they're in good condition and been in a library somewhere and watched after, they'll sell for $10,000 to $12,000. Brand new, in the box, still in the cover, never been opened. They sell for $25,000 to $35,000.
Wow.
Okay, and that's because, and I also got an award, the Klaus Schwartz Award for this Keyshawn University study on those 1,700 kids. And by the way, that research ended in a lawsuit victory in the federal court, April 16, 2013, when we forced all the baby formulas to put that one nutrient into baby formulas. Okay.
Mhm.
And we eliminated cystic fibrosis. We eliminated muscular dystrophy, gave all that data to Jerry Lewis. He took it to the Muscular Dystrophy Association in 2011. They fired Jerry Lewis because he was convinced, because he talked to all the doctors of all these patients that we cured of muscular dystrophy. They fired Jerry Lewis. That's why I haven't heard of the telethon since 2011. And then in a year and a half later, at on the cover page of the Charlotte Observer from Charlotte, North Carolina, kind of like New York Times for New York City, Charlotte Observer for Charlotte, North Carolina, big newspaper. They said, we don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has vanished in the state of North Carolina. Then 3 months later, St. Louis Post-Dispatch and all the newspapers in Missouri came out and said, we don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has disappeared in Missouri. And then 3 months later, every newspaper in the world came out and said, we don't know why, but the rate of diagnoses of sudden death syndrome has dropped by 85 to 95%.
Wow.
And the rate of actual death went from 1 per 300 normal births of sudden death syndrome to now it's 1 in 3,000. Now, if everybody would take the supplemented baby formulas,
Mhm.
then there wouldn't be any. But there's still people giving their babies goat's milk and that kind of stuff, and they're not getting all the nutrients. But it's a big improvement, 1 in 300 to 1 in 3,000.
Yeah, that's incredible. And,
So I
and
hope
the thing
that helps out.
It does, and the thing that bothers me, because he was very active. He loved to ride his bike. He loved to be out of the sun. He loved to
Exercise
sweat.
does not make up for lack of selenium.
It's suicide, right? Exercise without supplementation. Yeah.
Oh, you got it. You're very good. They have 2 CDs. One is Exercise Without Supplementation is Suicide. And the other one is Dead Athletes Don't Lie.
Yeah, I've listened to Dead Athletes Don't Lie, and because this bothered me as well, because I'm an athlete. I'm an amateur athlete, so I'm sweating. I'm constantly sweating out every single. Yeah, I love Rebound. Take 2 to 3 of those a day. It's
and you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about cardiomyopathy, heart disease, as long as you're staying away from gluten and taking the 90 and drinking Rebound. You won't die of a heart attack.
Well, I can't even eat gluten. A little bit will cause me too much pain, so it's not even a bother for me to avoid that stuff.
So you know the relationship. Yeah, I mean,
definitely.
It makes people's intestines. I mean, you can ask Siri, show me a picture of somebody who suffered from celiac disease or their small intestines. And instead of having all these nice, beautiful villi, it's got all these all gnarled up and bleeding and everything. And it's kind of funny on TV. They said, celiac disease is due to white blood cells coming into your intestines and blocking absorption and nutrition. You see, that's just the symptom. That's not the cause. The cause is the pro-inflammatory cytokines in the gluten killing the villi.
And medical doctors will tell people that as long as you're not celiac, gluten's all right. It's fine to eat. So
what's fine to eat?
Gluten. That the medical doctors will say there's nothing wrong with it unless you're celiac.
Well, they should go to jail for mass murder.
Thank you so much, doctor.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Great questions.
Not
Yeah.
any better.
Well, let me just take it. And remember, we're looking for help. We're growing like crazy because everybody, you know, these millions of people at home, what are they going to do for income? Okay. So it's time to talk. It's time to talk to them. Of course, we have all the tools, so they don't have to go to school for 8 years to figure all this out. And that's why we have the quartet of books, Let's Play Doctor, Let's Play Herbal Doctor, Passport to Aromatherapy, and it's all in your head. You know, it covers 600 different diseases that people get, tells you what to do for them. And it tells you a lot of diagnostics. I mean, you don't need a doctor to see if you're diabetic. You can go to the pharmacy without a prescription, get 3 test strips in a bottle for $1.50 each. You can weigh yourself, and if you're 25 pounds overweight, you're obese. You can, you know, you go to the pharmacy, they'll let you take your blood pressure there for free. You don't even need to buy a machine. And so you can, you don't need to do those kind of things to determine if you're absorbing. Just get a hair analysis. The book Rare Earths and Cures tell you how to collect hair, where to ship it. Don't forget to put the check in, because they won't run the test without the check, and it'll tell you if you're absorbing or not. And so it'll save you the risk of getting the COVID in the doctor's office. It'll save you the risk of the doctor killing you. You know, the surgery was a success, but the patient died, kind of thing. And and so as much as you can do for yourself, when you're doing your Youngevity business, in your business plan, which you can learn how to do with the, let's see here, the book is called Wall Street for Kids, okay? Wall Street for Kids, it tells you how to build a business plan. And your supplements, and since, which includes your rebound stuff, okay, and your health care is all tax deductible in your business plan, because you're running a business. That's part of, you know, what you get for running your business is all your health care and your supplements, your insurance, and so for a special diet is all paid for by your business as a tax deduction for your business. And when you sign up, it is $50, but it's tax deductible. It's not $20 million or whatever it is to, you know, to get a franchise for McDonald's. But it's $50. It's tax deductible. And I will give everybody that you sign up, when they sign up, and when they renew every year to maintain their franchise, I will give them every year for 50 years, I'll give them 50 $500 certificates, okay, worth of information and materials to show you how to grow your business, which you can give to your new people. Also included in that will be a website. So if you're with us for 50 years, you'll wind up with 50 websites.
I have one more question. Do you have time for one more?
Well, I do if Travis does.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, great. So this is for Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach, what role do you see, if any, CBD playing in health and wellness, just in general?
Well, we have a whole line of CBD products. It's in our Hemp FX division. Okay, our Hemp FX division is we have CBD oils. We have for sleep. It's called Relax. Okay, it has CBD oil in it and 5 other herbs in there that are sleep oriented. We have Soothe, which is a CBD oil, and it has other herbs in there for relieving discomfort and pain in your joints instead of taking aspirin and that kind of stuff. We also have an energy one. What's it? Okay, it's a one that we have for energy. Okay, and it's a dropper you put in your mouth, and it keeps you awake if you need to drive all night, that kind of stuff, or you need to stay awake during, you know, you don't want to go to sleep during class or something. You've been up all night, you know, out with the boys and girls, and you can use that. Okay. Alert. So anyway, but don't forget our colloidal silver. Don't forget our sanitizer, and don't forget the thing called a face mask. Okay. And so thank you so very much. So we do have a whole line of products in our Hemp FX division, and we're getting more and more and more. And of course, we grow our own coffee, all that kind of stuff. And they're all fertilized with our minerals, our Bloomin' Minerals, which has 75 minerals in them. But thank you for the great question. Okay, thank you so very much, Travis. Super job as usual. A great thing. And of course, you're going to post this, correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Wallach. This will be posted all over YouTube, Mineral Mentor, Instagram. And if you have any questions that didn't get answered today, feel free to reach out to me. You can text me at 210-852-1352, or just reach out to whoever invited you today, and we'll get your questions answered either next week or by one of us